Hola people, this is episode 84 of the Call Me Crazy Show, and I'm very glad to be here, and I'm going to be talking about certain things that have been happening in the past 2 weeks. And before I do say that, I want to thank Teacher C for making the show possible, and I want to thank Editor, and I want to thank you, the viewers. Okay, first things first, a couple days ago there was a suicide bomber who killed 4 U.S. soldiers in the incident in the Iraqi War, Gulf War II. Apparently it was an Iraqi officer who pretended to dress up as a taxi cab driver, who then went up to a couple soldiers and pretended to ask for help. And then when the soldiers were close enough, the Iraqi officer who was dressed up as a taxi driver blew himself, the car, and the soldier, unfortunately, God bless him. But it was the first documented suicide bomber ever in the Gulf War II. It was pretty much unheard of in Gulf War I back in 1991. There were suicide bombers around the world then in 91, but I don't think there were any whatsoever in Gulf War I. So it brings up a matter now of nothing pretty much to lose Saddam Hussein of the chances that he has. And on top of that, the Iraqi government gave the family of the Iraqi officer the equivalent of $34,000 to the family of the Iraqi officer who committed suicide, killing the 4 soldiers. So fuck that motherfucker, Saddam Hussein. I hope they catch a fucking fat ass. You know, sooner or later you will get caught. I'll go more into that later. Okay. And then also Iraqi soldiers have been documented firing refugees, and then wounding several, if not dozens. And then on top of that, the Iraqi soldiers are fighting the British and U.S. soldiers of the coalition. So the Iraqi government and the military have nothing else to lose, to a point where they're killing and trying to kill their own people by firing on the refugees. And what refugees are, people, or what it is in times of war or famine or drought, the citizens of a country that have no chances of surviving anymore, what they'll do, to migrate to the nearest country, and that's what refugees are. There's been a lot of examples, most recently I think was in Rwanda and Kosovo, and before that back in the 70s during Vietnam and Cambodia. There was a ton of refugees there too, from all kinds of fucked up military philosophy that were being applied to the government back in North Vietnam back in the day. Okay, but that's another thing. That's Vietnam War, people. Okay, also on top of that, we're 49 miles away from Baghdad, and that's getting we're inching closer to Baghdad. So already in Basra, that's one of the second largest city in Iraq, is already having street by street fighting with U.S. military forces and Iraqi resistance fighters. So it's getting to be a real big mess. Okay, and then on top of that, as of today, I found out that at a checkpoint in southern Iraq, a van with 13 women and children were heading to a checkpoint at a U.S. military installation in southern Iraq. They didn't stop for no reason. They kept on trying to go through the checkpoint. I read and saw, and apparently they didn't heed any of the warnings that the U.S. soldiers were giving the passengers, and apparently even after firing into the engine of the van of what the women and children were riding in, the U.S. soldiers had no option other than to open fire, and they killed 7 women and children and wounded 2. Okay, that will be under investigation. But at this point, if I'm correct, I think they have a new rules of engagement, and these checkpoints that they have. Apparently, because ever since the suicide bomber did what he did, now they have to anyone going to a checkpoint has to get out of the car, identify themselves, and show that they don't have any bombs or weapons on them, because there's no other way to make sure that the U.S. soldiers won't get blown up in a suicide attack. So unfortunately, the rules of engagement were applied to the 7 women and children. And I hate to say that, but I guess it's an all-part war. You know, it can be linked as a, maybe I'm thinking the women and children in the van are the victim of like some fucked up brainwashing thing that the villages and tribes go through in southern Iraq, right? And what I'm thinking that the women, maybe the mother or the kid, took the kids into the van so that they could do a statement by killing themselves and saying, you know what, we're going to drive our little girls to the checkpoint in the van, and we're going to stop, and we know we're going to get shot, and we're going to just going to try to make a political statement to the whole world saying how the war is going here in Iraq. So who the fuck knows? Because I'm pretty sure the women in the car knew that you couldn't pass through the checkpoint unless you identify yourself and stop, in which they didn't. And the outcome is 7 women, children dead. So it just goes to show that now that with the internet and the media is so fast, like in the words of Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, he said we're getting a slice of each battle in the media of broadcasting the war right now. For example, we know now what happened at a U.S. military checkpoint. Back in Korea and Vietnam and World War II and World War I, that stuff was commonplace, and no one in the higher up officers ever knew what was going on, and some people may call them atrocities. So that gets another big thing that we have to be worried about: suicide bombers. Okay, and then on top of this too, I learned, and here's a direct quote from the Vice President of Iraq people. Okay, if you people want to find out why we're going to war with Iraq, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot. Political reasons, economical reasons, democratic reasons, the list goes on. But the Vice President of Iraq said, and here I quote, we will use any means necessary to kill our enemy in our land, and we will follow the enemy into its land. So basically, the Vice President of Iraq, in a statement to international papers, issued a statement saying, you know what, we're going to fuck them up in our own country, and we're going to follow them into their own country and fuck shit up over there. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to war with Iraq, because they intended to do that anyway before. So fuck them. Fuck them. If they don't want our help, fuck them. And I'm talking about the military and the leadership. I'm not talking about the Iraqi people, folks. Those people had gone through enough. I saw pictures of them where they had the looks on their faces they're like, what do you call it, shell-shocked. They're walking around like zombies in a bombed out city, wondering when it's gonna stop. So I feel very sorry for those people in Iraq and the Baghdad and Basra going through all the bombing, because you know they ain't getting no sleep in the bed at night over there, because the bombing goes throughout the whole night. And I've seen videos where the windows are being blown out and pieces of the roof are coming in and caving in. So it gets a very scary place to be in Baghdad. Okay, also on the subject of war, we're gonna go left of Iraq. We're gonna go east. We're gonna go west of Iraq. We're gonna go to Israel. The Palestinian suicide bomber blew himself up, wounding 30. The Palestinian says it's a gift to Israelis from the Iraqi people. That's another thing we have to worry about. The Palestinian and Israeli are going at it again. Of course, Israeli people, the government has helicopters. The Palestinian has suicide bombers. Okay, in Venezuela, a little thing is getting out of hand, I guess, in Venezuela. Venezuela army were fighting Colombian paramilitary on the border, Colombia, as you know now, has been going through a very long, over 30 plus year civil war, and now they're dealing with the soldiers of the Venezuela side. So that's very, very scary too. Then in the Ivory Coast, the military is going against looters and rioters, so there's more military might being shown there. Then in Afghanistan, there was another gun battle in Kabul. Several rockets were fired, and I also found out the president of Egypt said if the war continues in Iraq, that the Islamic world is going to churn out 100 more Bin Laden. What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean that they're going to do what they did on 9/11 100 times more? Is that a threat? Is Egypt threatening the U.S.? Given a time when we don't need the kind of fucking bullshit in our lives, we have to worry about what Egypt says. And also, I also found out this unconfirmed report that Syria is giving out equipment out to Iraq. I think it might have been reported in one instance that it actually happened. But if it was happening to a point where we knew about it, I think it would be termed a hostile act, a war against the U.S. So Syria is trying to push our button. Fucking Egypt, the president of Egypt is trying to push our button. Fucking motherfucking wacko dude from fucking Friday the 13th looking motherfucker, Don King from North Korea, he's fucking pushing our button. It's just a matter of time, folks, before the fucking big ending is gonna happen, like the ending of Planet of the Apes. We all remember what happened in Planet of the Apes Part 2. The whole world blew up. Okay, people, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. I hope you enjoyed the segment. I gotta go. So hopefully the next time I talk to you, there'll be less bloodshed. But until then, Godspeed to all. In the home of Saddam Hussein. And ain't this a great picture, people? It's a great picture. Look at that. In 1991, we could only imagine back in Gulf War I, that's what we planned to do, or we wish we could have done back in 91. And there's one thing I give credit to President Bush is the fact that when he said that we were going to go in and fuck shit up, he wasn't lying, and here we are now inside the fucking presidential palace in Baghdad. Earlier in this segment, I said it was 49 miles outside of Baghdad. Well, like I said, I went on a research spree, and I found out now, a couple days later, they're now in Baghdad. So that's great to hear. left here for the soldier. And on top of that, I also want to talk about how one of our U.S. soldiers was rescued in a mission by U.S. Marine Jessica Lynch, who was 19 years old at the time. So I want to say that's cool as hell that they were able to get her out. But unfortunately, some of her comrades and Jessica Lynch's roommate, Dwalta, was from Tuba City. She was one of the soldiers identified when they rescued Jessica Lynch. I'll get more to that in a minute. God bless both of them. What I want to know is back when their I'm not sure what happened back when their plane went, their unit went down in Iraq. What I want to know, what happened, that were all the dead Americans there, the soldiers, were they injured in whatever accident they had, or was the Iraqi tormentors doing any torture or whatnot? I know it's a fucked up subject, but I think we have a right to know what's going on with Iraq, because we gotta tell our American public that we gotta give them some feedback on what's going on. I know how it is. That gets a really fucked up situation for U.S. families. Okay. So now we're in Baghdad. We're back. Okay, so here we go. And Iraq, so the civilians are helping the U.S. military, which is a great thing, because that just goes to show that not all the Iraqi people in the Iraqi regime of Saddam Hussein are bad people. They're helping U.S. military people in fighting their countrymen into a side that has a better reason to be on that side. That's what they're doing. And so it's good to hear that the Iraqi people are helping the U.S. military. And also the Kurds, the Kurdish people, Kurdish Turks up in northern Iraq, have been helping the U.S. military by pointing to terrorist camps in northern Iraq. So we're getting help from an inside group inside Iraq, which is good, because we're actually helping the cells of resistance, of the rebellion against Saddam Hussein really happen in reality, because back in 1990 and 91, George Bush, the president then, said for the Iraqi people to rise up and topple the government, and that never happened because we never went over there to support them. So now here we are with them, and now the casualty rate keeps going up and up. Okay, yeah. How about this for April Fool's joke? Saddam Hussein didn't go on TV like it was planned to. Apparently, there was supposed to be a press conference on April Fool's Day, April 1st, and Saddam Hussein was supposed to show up at a press conference, and apparently he didn't show up. And the U.S. government said they find that interesting. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld said the circle is now enclosing around Baghdad, tightening the noose on Saddam Hussein. I like that reference because in reality that's what's happening to Saddam Hussein. The noose on his neck is getting tighter. Now the people out in the Middle East and in Islamic circles who are pissed off at Saddam Hussein because he chose to stay, and when instead he should have gone in exile and saved the whole war from save the whole idea of war to be prolonged. Apparently he wants the war to be longer than it is, and he wants more casualty, and he doesn't care on whose side, the Iraqi side or the U.S. side or the coalition side. And on top of that, I also found out Syria, it's a neighbor of Iraq. The Pentagon also said they also know for a fact that Syria is now shipping night vision goggles to Iraqi fighters in Iraq. Syria, what are they trying to do? They're trying to strain relations with the good and bad countries. That's what it is. You know what it is? Syria is having a very big overdose of American sentiment, anti-American sentiment. So that goes to show that we're in a heap of shit once again. Also, I also found out that the speed of all U.S. forces and coalition forces in which they began from Kuwait into Iraq and into Baghdad was amazing and is amazing, they say. Wow, what a year it's been. First Colombia blows up, and now fucking the world keeps getting a little more crazier, if you will. Okay, let's see. Oh man, let's see. Okay, then also on April 4th, 2003, people speculated, and the media speculated, there might have been a Saddam Hussein look-alike on TV on April 4th, 2003, showing him walking among the Iraqi people. No one can confirm if that's really Saddam Hussein. And for you people out there in La La Land who don't know this, Saddam Hussein has a lot of body doubles. They look like him, they act like him, they even get facial features worked on, like plastic surgery, they even gain weight. And so they do that, so if there's any assassination attempt of Saddam Hussein in a public place, it'll be on a guy who looks like Saddam Hussein and not really him himself. It's just a tactic that dictators been using for years and years, and it all dates back to the beginning of modern warfare and before. Okay, let's see. Okay, and then on a sad note, here in Arizona, child abuse in Arizona went up last year by 17%. And then for the year from January 2003 to the present is a 25% increase over last year. And that 80% of all child abuse cases in Arizona involve substance abuse. Okay, and then also while all this is going on about the war, I've been a little distracted during the week because I have to work constantly this week. But there's so much turmoil now in the world. I just read about North Korea. North Korea, we all know who they are. They think that they have a very special interest in checking out Iraq and what's going on over there, because North Korea thinks that North Korea is next on the list. They think that they're convinced that the U.S. is going to go over there and do a massive invasion like what they're witnessing in Iraq. And I don't think it would be. I don't think it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it would be a good idea, because God forbid that that fucking crazy president from North Korea, Kim, would not do anything so drastic as like launching a nuclear strike. But anyway, that's something now. If I could want to let you know that North Korea is okay, people. I'm going to say it now. Our trouble for the U.S. are not over after the war of Iraq. That's what I have to say. Okay, people, I gotta go. But it's been fun. It's been a fun episode. And you know what? I ain't gonna go out like that. I'm gonna go out with a little more information. How about this, people? I'm gonna do my factoid sheet thing. Alrighty. Here I go. My nightly report. Call me crazy. U.S. infantry occupies Saddam International Airport. 100% of the airport is now occupied by U.S. coalition forces. I also found out, people have been asking me, if the war will ever get so bad that would there be a draft, like during Vietnam, where people got drafted to join the war, no matter whether they liked it or not. And a lot of people during the 60s and early 70s, instead of going to war when they were being drafted, what they do, they chop off a thumb or chop off a toe, or say that they were using a lot of drugs at the time. And some of them also, they will get run up to Canada to get away because they wouldn't be arrested. And some did get arrested back in the day. But yeah, there will be no draft, even if the war escalates into something very, very scary. There only can be a draft in the U.S. government if, unless ordered by Congress and the President, the Commander-in-Chief himself. And Commander-in-Chief, that's applied to George Bush, I don't think so. I know the government says it is, but if he didn't serve in war, he don't know what's going on, even though he does do the orders. Okay, remember back in the day in the Common Crazy Show, I did a thing about the bird flu? Well, apparently now the U.S. scientists have developed a vaccine against the Hong Kong flu, notoriously known as the bird flu, which is a deadly form of influenza. Health officials are frightened. The bird flu was first diagnosed on a patient back in 1997 in Hong Kong. And they found it because they found a lot of crowded and dirty, nasty motherfucking chicken farm market stores. So this is kind of fucking, remind me never to eat any birds in Hong Kong. Okay. In Oklahoma City, there was a couple who lived together for 78 years. They're both 95, 96 years old. They decided to get married. Okay, Johnny Cash is going to be played by Joaquin Phoenix in a new biography about Johnny Cash, the man in black himself, on the silver screen. Okay. In Afghanistan this week, there was another battle in Afghanistan against Taliban fighters. When are those Taliban fucks gonna finally realize it's a no-win situation against us? Okay, let's see, I'm very sorry, people. Oh, I also found out too, the U.S. government said, and they stated, that Saddam Hussein was to be found dead, that the war would still continue, that no matter what, the leadership is still there. How about this for cool? The British forces of the U.S.-led coalition been doing a lot by what they did this past week. They fucking put explosives on a tall-ass statue of Saddam Hussein and blew that motherfucker up. So I think that's great. Okay, and then one more thing, people. Oh, here's something cool, or I think it's fucking cool as hell. I found out that from a very, very, very special place in the military, through the administration of George Bush, I think, that right now there is a super elite Delta Force commando team that their only mission is to kill or capture Saddam Hussein at all costs. I hope they catch him. Basically meaning that they're on their own in Baghdad. Like, they could be, spies. It's not a Tom Clancy novel, folks. It's the real thing. God bless and Godspeed to all the armed forces. I'm out of here. The Call Me Crazy Show, episode 84. Episode 85 is coming up in 2 weeks. Until then, people, I know I've been kind of distracted. I'm not really making any sense. But I have to get out of here. I gotta go to work, as a matter of fact. So until then, people, they Call Me Crazy Show. Just what you mean.